Yeah. I got the whole sweatshirt and everything. So okay, I'm gonna do it.
Your wife, Michigan State.
Yeah. I always tell people I'm in the mixed marriage. I said for 35 years. I said we've been Michigan State, the whole thing. When this show's over, I'll get the pictures later. We're in our regalia. I'm my Michigan cheese in Michigan State. But yeah, so my daughter went to Michigan and now works at Michigan State. They go, wait, how can you deal with that? I said they pay her. That's how I deal with it. And I love me some Mel Tucker, but I do love some Juwan Howard.
That's who I like.
God, and he's a good brother too.
He's a good brother, and it was awful what Michigan did to him. There's some racist dogs up there with the five. That was out, and that lady president up there who took their awards back from them and took the banners down and went to the NCAA with all her crap. I was through with Michigan then, but then I'm double through with Harborough. It's ridiculous. Hey guys, hey, are you ready? Will you let Roger? What? Well, then cut all that out, because you ought to let me know to start. I didn't know when to start. Good day, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Attorney Linda Bernard, and you're watching Chop It Up with Attorney Linda Bernard on WJZZ Cool TV, the coolest TV station in the nation. You can watch us on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, any real social media platform. I invite you to call us, let us know what's going on, and let us know what you think about the broadcast. And just subscribe to the station. Today I have an extremely distinguished guest. As you can see, he's handsome. He's smiling, which is a good thing, means he's not angry. And ladies and gentlemen, he's one of the very few people that I know who has a degree from the University of Michigan, undergrad, and a law degree from Stanford University on the West Coast. It's known as the Harvard of the West Coast, Stanford University. And in addition to that, for several years, he's practiced law in the city of Detroit, but from 1996 to 2014, he served us as a jurist, both in 36th District Court as well as in Wayne County Circuit Court Criminal Division. Our guest, drum roll, is the Honorable Wade Mccree Jr. Hi, Wade. How are you?
Linda, it's absolutely a pleasure to be here. Great seeing you again. And just for your audience, this woman has known me, as I said, when I still had dark hair. So she's known me quite a while. And yes, from the days of Wayne County Neighborhood Legal Services, practicing law when I had but 2 suits, and all the way up through my years as a jurist for the city of Detroit and Wayne County. It's great to be here.
Well, it's an honor for me to have you here. You have always, you and your family, you're correct, I've known you for a number of years. For your information to our listening audience, Wade's father was the first African-American Solicitor General for the United States of America. I'll let him tell you what the Solicitor General does, because he knows it far better than I, since that's what his dad did. His sister was also a very distinguished lawyer in the city of Detroit. So this is a family of super notables, but Wade Jr. to me is the absolute best. But first, let everybody know what a Solicitor General does for the United States of America.
Oh, thank you. Very briefly, the Solicitor General of the United States is the country's lawyer. I can do it using a sports analogy. Just as the Attorney General of the United States crafts the legal posture of the country, but doesn't actually go to court. Just like a coach of a football team prescribes the offense, the defense, and the game, but the quarterback is actually in charge of the action. The Solicitor General is just that. He or she is the trial lawyer working under the Attorney General for the United States. You only practice in front of the United States Supreme Court. Your only client is the United States of America. And so
thank you very much. So you're the country's lawyer, and that's it. And no one else can appear for the country. But
and your underlings. I mean,
yeah,
obviously
course,
you have assistants, right? Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
All right. So your dad did that, and he brought so much pride and glory both to the office. He worked for President
Jimmy Carter.
That's correct.
And the big case well, the two cases of notoriety, one, of course, was the Nixon tapes, when then former President Richard Nixon claimed that his audio tapes from his meetings in the White House were his personal property and not the property of the people of the United States. And my father argued that on behalf of the government, saying, no, this is the product of the people, and he won. And of course, the more the case of greater notoriety was the Alan Bakke versus the Regents of the University of California at Davis Medical School, where, of course, the, quote, reverse discrimination case, where Alan Bakke claimed that he, as a white applicant, was refused admission that was given to a less qualified black applicant. And therefore, the affirmative action, reverse discrimination, all the lingo you want to use, that was probably the premier case of his legacy.
That's wonderful, and it was a pleasure for me just to meet him, and if you will, as they say in the Bible, just touch his garment. Just touch his garment as a lawyer. He was such a very, very distinguished man, as are you.
Thank you.
That's why I invited you here today, because I want to talk about a guy that has certainly been in our lives, all of our lives, and who is a distinguished man himself, Mr. Bill Cosby. Now, let's deal at first with the criminal aspects of his case. If you would explain it to me, since you're a criminal law expert and a former judge, you know this backwards and forwards, and you understand state law certainly versus federal law. But he was in court in Pennsylvania. I'm licensed in Pennsylvania. I earned my LLM from the University of Pennsylvania Law School. I was the first African American to earn an LLM from Penn.
I'm about to say, if you weren't the first, I'd like to know who was before you.
Nobody.
My goodness. Okay.
So I'm still I paid my bar dues the other day. As a matter of fact, they assessed me an extra $100 as a late fee. But anyway, I still paid my dues. But in any event, he was in Pennsylvania, and he was in what would be the equivalent of our circuit court. Our criminal, what we used to call recorder's court.
Correct.
Can you explain what court he was in and why and what the
right,
charges were?
Right. He was in a trial court, and the allegation was that a woman had, as they say, an unconsented, intimate liaison or engagement with him. And it's purported that, of course, he used a foreign substance, a narcotic of some kind, to induce her complicity in the act. And of course she says, no, I did not consent to having this act of intimacy with Dr. Cosby, and therefore he was then, criminal charges were brought against him for what we would call CSC, criminal sexual conduct, or in lay terms, a division of rape. And there's no way to candy coat it. You have an unconsented sexual encounter with someone, it is rape of various degrees. We have CSC, first degree sexual, touching someone, stealing a kiss from someone, versus all the way through a sexual act.
Right, it goes from 1 to 3, criminal sexual conduct. What is it? No, I call it number 1, but it's not. It's really the criminal sexual conduct, I guess, 1? That's what it is called, 1, 2, 3.
Right, exactly. That you have true penetration versus all the way down to grabbing someone on their behind or something like that. Right. So yes, everything has a degree.
Right. And in Michigan, of course, once you're convicted of criminal sexual conduct, what happens to you? What are the collateral consequences?
Well, other than the traditional fines and incarceration, then of course you have to be reported as a sexual offender. And of course, you're on the sex offender registry, which can prohibit certain places where you're allowed to live. You can't live within 500 feet of a school, and there are certain requirements, as such. Communities that have applications for residence. For instance, if you go into certain cooperatives, you have to apply to get in. And if you have certain prior criminal convictions, this becomes a public record. And they are allowed, the cooperative is allowed to say, no, we do not want this person to reside, in our mini community.
I see. So it's a serious charge. So he was charged, but as a result of something that happened, I believe, around 14 years, as I recall, that had happened was it 14 years or longer? It was more than 14 years.
I guess by now it's probably been a bit longer, but at the time of his trial, he just squeaked in with what we call the statute of limitations.
Right, that's
and that is the key figure here. If a crime or an offense occurs today, and here we are in 2021, you have so many years from now before that has to be brought to court, or you lose your right to do so.
Okay.
For instance, in a athletic contest, in a football game, you have 1 hour. If you can't score a touchdown after 1 hour and 1 minute, the game is over. And it's the same thing with the statute of limitations. And they vary. As we know, certain offenses have greater or shorter statutes of limitation. And the one case here that survived is that in the state of Pennsylvania, they have a rather long statute of limitations. And this woman's claim of when the incident occurred just made it in within, I believe it was no more than a couple months before the running of the statute of limitations. And had it been 2 months later, she would have been out of luck. She could have not have brought her case.
Well, the prosecutor brought the case on her behalf about something that happened, many years before that. Is that correct or no?
No. It was
within the 14 years.
Right. Within maybe the final act, because as I understand in the trial, is that this woman and Dr. Cosby had more than one encounter. And so, whichever one fits within the statute of limitations, they use that as the starting point.
You're kidding me. So she's saying that all of these encounters were in her opinion, a violation of her?
Apparently so. And this was, again, there are a lot of he said, she said throughout this entire case. And, as they say, stranger than fiction. If you'd have written this as a TV script, I don't think any network would have taken it, because they'd have said, no, this is just too stupid. But, it wasn't stupid to her, and in all respects, she has her day in court.
Okay. Alrighty. So he was tried, and what was interesting about the trial to me was that the judge let all these other people come in and testify, I guess as to what you would call pattern and practice, but it's inappropriate, I think, in a criminal case. In a civil case, maybe, but it's clearly not in a criminal case.
You're absolutely correct. The prejudicial value versus the probative value is so skewed because, one, there's no rebuttal. You don't have a mini trial. You can't come up and cross-examine someone and go, oh, come on, miss, you willfully engaged Mr. Cosby. When he said, can I buy you a drink, you couldn't wait. And you don't have a mini trial over each one of these witnesses. And you're correct, there were tens of women,
30, I think.
Very good. Who came in, and each one gets to tell their story. And again, you get all of the emotional baggage that comes with it. And there's literally no rebuttal. No lawyer in his right mind is going to get up and pick a fight with a woman who's telling this horrid story from 20 years ago. Remember, some of these women
30 years ago.
Yeah. Some of these women were, the biggest example were the Cosby shows. When they were being taped, again, these were California, not in Pennsylvania, which has a different statute of limitations. And these women were in what is called a cattle call. And of course, you're all there to be an extra, a walkthrough in the scene, whether it was A Different World or whether it was the Cosby Show. And Cosby and his crew, they would come by and wave and say hi to these women and so forth. And Dr. Cosby would eye the crowd. Allegedly, then, he would send his lackey, his attendant, to come back and go, excuse me, miss, Dr. Cosby saw you in the audience and like to know if you'd like to come over and greet him in his dressing room. Okay, so then out of the pack, this woman is escorted to the dressing room of Dr. Cosby, and I'll leave it to your audience. What did you think was going to happen when you walked in the door? Okay, you went from one of many to a select few. And what happens in this, behind closed doors?
But women still control that. I mean, I've been picked out of an audience and, certainly, as you say, escorted to a party or whatever it is, or, to an after party, whatever. But that's not, but the point of the matter is that, and of course you go because celebrity is an aphrodisiac in and of itself for both athletes as well as entertainers. I can tell you for a fact, my sister has been in love with Elvis Presley since she was a kid, and if he had asked, if she had been picked out of the crowd, she'd have been happened to get there. So I'm just saying, you always have that expectation that maybe this person really likes you, maybe, and or maybe I guess these women thought because he was married and everything that maybe that he would become so enamored with them that he would leave his wife and they would become the new Mrs. Cosby. Plus what he can do for their career.
And there it is. See, now he would promise him the reading. He said, look, I can't get you the part, but I'll get you the reading.
Okay.
Your talent gets you on the show, but I'll get you in front of the mic. I'll get you in front of the camera. I'll get you your what's called a sizzle reel. I'll get you that. And
it's a tryout for a football player. That's all it is.
Exactly what it is. It's American Idol.
Right.
Yeah. Right.
Correct.
Yeah. Right. You get the mic, but you have to have the voice.
Correct.
You can't sound like a kick dog and think you're going to get to Hollywood. This is your chance. Don't blow it.
Correct.
And some may have gotten a role, and some others didn't.
Okay. So this continued. So he would meet women he find attractive and so forth. And he's a very comical guy. So you laugh and you joke, and it goes on and on and on.
And he's probably done this before.
I'm sure as I said, celebrity in and of itself, whether it's him or the Rolling Stones, it doesn't matter. I mean, groupies are groupies.
Well, as I tell my class, and of course now I teach a political science course, and when we talk about civil rights and civil liberties and so forth, and you have to ask yourself these questions, and I'll tell you this, okay, let's go back, say, 30 years. If Dennis Rodman were still the baggage handler at the Little Rock Airport in Arkansas before he became an all-star with the Detroit Pistons, would he have the attraction to women that he had? I think not.
I think not.
Okay, so you're absolutely right. The celebrity aphrodisiac quality of power.
Powerful men. I mean, political figures from Cuomo to anybody else.
To anybody else, and
Correct.
there it is. And true, we're going.
But no, so I mean, but but the issue I think in his case was that they alleged that they were drugged, and that's how they got involved. And I can remember when I was in college and so forth, how people that and that I know well would be doing cocaine. I remember one person in particular, and I was invited to a party at the Penthouse in Lafayette Towers. And they had a bowl of cocaine about the size of this yellow sheet right here, about this big, a big bowl. And they were like, Linda, why don't you try this? Why don't you, come on, I said, nah, I never did drugs. I tell everybody champagne is my drug of choice. It just is for me. I just never had an interest, not weed, not cocaine, nothing. But anyway, everybody else was doing cocaine, and I was ready to go.
And this is the old days when it was snorted, not smoked.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I'm dating both of us, by the way, by saying this. Okay, but go on. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So I was ready to go, but I remember that there were also the people who did it before they would want to leave. I left pretty soon, but they had pills. They had Quaaludes. Quaaludes will take you down from a cocaine high. So if you're high already and then you want to act like a normal person, then you take Quaaludes. So as I read what these girls were saying about Bill Cosby, I thought about that. Because in those days, Quaaludes were, part of the program with the cocaine. So I don't know if Dr. Cosby did cocaine. He was brilliant. He might have a lot of very, very smart people have, including presidents of the United States, etc. So, but, to say that they were drugged, were they drugged before that? But they never got to those questions for the reasons that you just said. You could not question them at that point.
And you're exactly right. As they say, finish the sentence. Candy is dandy, but liquor is quicker. Okay. If Bill Cosby has his dressing room, you have to assume it's right off the soundstage because he has to be able to get on set in an instant. All right.
Correct.
So naturally, if he has some young lady in his, chambers, in his dressing room, obviously they're not smoking weed. Of course not.
Because you can smell it.
Because you can smell it around the corner.
And it's illegal.
Exactly. They're probably not doing cocaine because in those days, if it was snorted, the coke trail on the nose. Remember, you're getting close-ups. You don't want anyone to have any flecks or traces on their nostrils.
Right.
And they're probably not drinking.
Oh, I didn't think about that.
And they're probably not drinking. Why? Because it's on their breath. Okay, because you remember you have to do all those close-ups, but here we are in television. It exaggerates the distance between us. So close-ups on television, you are right up in someone's face.
Oh, okay.
So you can't have the liquor on your breath. So pills are the obvious alternative. There's no snort trail, there's no odor, there's no liquor on your breath. You can take a pill and your breath hasn't changed.
Oh, absolutely.
You're looking, perhaps at the very, very worst, some people may get a little squint to the eye, but nothing more than that. And this is something that you can swing open the door to someone's dressing room. Oh, there's no cocaine on the table. There's no wine in a glass. There's no weed in the ashtray. And the pill's in your pocket.
That's
so
correct.
The fact that pills were the intoxicant of choice is, to me, as much an element of the circumstances, the surrounding circumstances, as much as this is what I'm going to use, as my gateway to your panties.
Right, I understand. So that was what was disturbed. But what really disturbed me about the trial, and we're going to get to what happened after the trial, was the fact that they allowed all these people to testify, as you say, without any cross-examination, without any. And besides that, Wade, how do you even remember what happened in the 70s? Other than my, graduation, I can't remember a doggone thing, including the people that were in my class.
But of course, while preparing for this story, you're embellishing it. You're getting it better and better, as you go along. And remember, all of these
went to the press first. All of them were on the cover of Time magazine.
They were on. I don't know if they were on Dr. Phil. They were on one of the TV talk shows.
Oh yeah.
And the
whole tribe.
The whole tribe. Right? They could have been a singing group. They could have been a chorus. And they came. And remember, for all of them, for every single one of these other women, their statute of limitations had run.
Correct.
So one, they could not bring a criminal action against him.
Correct.
Two, they could not bring a civil action against him.
Correct.
So they couldn't get in his pocket, and they couldn't have him prosecuted.
Correct.
So their revenge, for lack of a better word, is here.
Or not even revenge. Let's because you're innocent until proven guilty. It doesn't even have to be revenge. It could be chagrin at the fact that I was not picked. That you didn't want a relationship with me.
And I didn't get the role.
Right. And it's buyer's remorse. It's like sometimes, you do some stuff in life and you're like, damn, why did I do that? I couldn't believe I did that. But anyway, or that person. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah, give me a break. So so you don't know, what motivated. Besides that, the celebrity attached to it. I'm on the cover of Time magazine. Right. I'm a victim now. I'm an official card carrying, and I would. It's just unthinkable to me. That people start this stuff. Lots of things happen in life. And don't misunderstand. I'm not saying that sexual assault is not important, because it is. I have been sexually assaulted. But the bottom line is that you make a choice. You either want to prosecute or you don't. And once I make that choice, that's the end of that. And I'm certainly not going to go on TV, to try to, embellish it and try to make myself a celebrity. Because, you know why, Wade, quite frankly? Because I will never be a victim. That's number one. If anybody's going to be a victim, it's going to be you.
Right.
It's not going to be me. I'm not going to go on TV and say, oh, woe is me. If I didn't pick up a knife or a pen or something, or a lamb or something to knock you in the head with and fight you immediately, it would have been a fight right then and right there.
And think about it.
I should have said I've been a victim of attempted sexual assault, but never. Ain't no way.
Right.
You don't take anything from me.
And think about it. Some of them.
Where's your pride?
Some of the victims or the people who testified against Cosby, you have to understand, unless their story was, juicy enough, many times, you'll hear someone tell the story. I've had, clients come to me that go, well, Attorney Mccree, and they tell this story, and I'm going, had it just been that they picked up the stick and hit you over the head with it, you'd have a case. But as is now, the two of y'all had a shouting match. You bumped your head walking out the door. How you want to, okay. Yeah. If it not, some of them, when I talk about embellishing, okay, some stories had to be embellished just so the prosecutor or whoever was their liaison to get them on the stand would say, okay, Linda, that's a good enough story. We want to use you.
Yeah, we're going to use you.
They say, Susie, yours isn't good enough. We're not going to use you.
Correct.
Well, I want to get on there as well. Well, I'm sorry, if your story had this element to it, well, it does. Well, it does. Okay, okay, so, which is why we have statutes of limitation.
Correct.
And now, I understand that not all statute of limitations are fair. For instance, in professional malpractice for doctors and things like this, you get 1 and 2 years depending on what state you're in. Contracts, it's 6 years.
Correct.
And of course, it varies. One of the reasons that Cosby was able to be prosecuted in this case in Pennsylvania is, as we opened with,
the 14-year statute of limitations, which is ridiculous.
Okay, now the emperor has no clothes. Yes, I think it's ridiculous for the simple reason, as we've just seen, your evidence trail is gone.
Not only that, your witnesses, your memory.
Right.
It's unfair to you to even try to recreate. How do I remember meeting you? I mean, how did I meet 14 years ago? In 2000, what was that, 10 or whatever? Yeah,
right.
More than that.
Right.
2008. I don't remember who I met, who
right.
I danced with.
Right.
If it was a celebrity, I remember celebrities.
Exactly, which is why they remember Cosby and not the
Right.
other way around. Well, my claim to fame is in Saturday, August 2nd, 1980. How do you remember that, Wade? I'll tell you, because I got to go to one of the opening events at Joe Louis Arena when Tommy Hearns knocks out Pepino Cuevas. I get to, see, almost as close as I am to you, Jane Kennedy. And in that day, Jane Kennedy was TV fine.
Oh, she was gorgeous.
And so I was...
She was the Black Marilyn Monroe.
She was the Black, thank you. Okay. I remember her cologne. Okay.
Oh.
She wouldn't know me if they showed her the video.
Of course not.
And you think Bill Cosby remembers 1 of 100?
1,000.
Okay, thank you. Okay. And it's the exact same thing there. That is the unfairness, exactly as you said, about the statute of limitations.
Well,
okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching Chop It Up with attorney Linda Bernard. My guest today, and also I'm also police commissioner for the District 2, City of Detroit Police Commissioner. And my guest today is the Honorable Wade Mccree Jr., who is a distinguished man, distinguished lecturer, distinguished judge, just all-around brilliant guy, probably the smartest person I know personally. And we are discussing, obviously, Dr. William, also known as Bill Cosby. Thank you for watching us again on WJZZ Cool TV, the coolest station in the nation. Okay, wait, let's go back to your point. So we're talking about the statute of limitations.
Yes.
And how the law has to be fair to both the, quote, complainant as well as to the accused.
Exactly.
And there is a fundamental unfairness in extended statutes of limitations, especially, I understand it in Michigan, we've changed the statute of limitations with respect to children who say they were victims.
Correct.
I got that part.
Right.
I understand if you're 5 years old or something and something happened to you.
Right. It's told until you reach the age of majority.
Right.
Correct.
Right. And then you have, what is the statute of limitations for sexual misconduct in Michigan?
6 years.
6 years, okay. So then you have 6 years after you become an adult to bring the case. Okay, that makes sense, because you're a kid.
Exactly.
You don't have the ability to do anything else. But to come back, from the 70s, and I'm going to tell you about this case right now. But before I deal with the cases that are against him right now, tell us what happened with his case in terms of the appeals. And of course, he went to prison, a blind man in a maximum security prison.
Well, in short, the trial concluded with Bill Cosby being found guilty, and he was sentenced to a term in prison, and
3 to 12 years.
And he had just about completed his minimum, which means he would have been up for parole. And in all candor, you would have to think that a near-blind 80-something-year-old model prisoner, he had no what we call tickets. He had no violations once incarcerated. What was he going to do?
He's staying in his cell.
Right, he's not going to shank somebody. Come on, he's 80-something years old and half blind. To think that he would not get paroled or at the minimum be sentenced to like a halfway house or something like that, is just absurd. I mean, he was going to get some type of parole, or at least, like I said, at worst, or at the very least, the halfway house. They could move him out of the max security and he could be at a residential facility. I'll leave it at that. All right, Cosby appealed. And of course, he appealed saying that what the judge violated was letting in these alleged victims. Now, you could testify if you were an alleged victim from 30 years ago if you would have brought a case or made your claim. But remember, all of these were unclaimed, unprosecuted cases.
No police reports.
Not one police report. Not one DNA swab. Not one rape kit. No video. Now, granted, this was in the days before everything is now being.
But there were
video.
Police complaints. You could have made it, filed a police report
In a New York minute.
Correct.
And none of them had anyway. So it goes up to the Supreme Court, and one of Cosby's arguments was they got some of these names and these people came forward because of the deposition that Bill Cosby, gave in the civil action. And the agreement, of course, was that the deposition could not be used in any criminal prosecution. The example is very simple. All right, a low-end drug dealer cuts a deal with the cops to fink on the mob boss. He finks on the mob boss, and then the prosecution uses his statement to convict him of another crime. He goes, wait a minute. I gave you this information. Granted, some of it was against my best interest, but I had to say, yes, I was with the mob boss when that case of cocaine landed on his desk.
Right.
And so now you're going to use that to prosecute me.
Right.
And that's what the Pennsylvania Supreme Court said. It said the prosecution made the deal with Cosby that if you give us this deposition freely, we will ignore any consequentially harmful testimony in that criminally.
You waiving the fifth.
You're waiving the fifth, but the package is you're waiving the fifth, but then we have to give you the immunity at the other end.
Right.
And that's exactly what the Supreme Court said. Happened. They said you, the prosecutor, use this deposition to not only identify or to bring to life these the former complainants, but to use the exact testimony, to hang the man.
Correct.
And so,
which is a violation of due process procedure, and the prosecutor, as you know, filed his own response to the Supreme Court's decision, saying that he didn't do anything wrong. It wasn't a trick, etc. But he had promised. That prosecutor had promised. So he did do something wrong when the prosecutor's office, whether it's Linda, the prosecutor today, or Jane tomorrow,
exactly,
doesn't matter.
Now,
you're still
exactly.
bound by the covenants of the previous person in that office.
100. Absolutely.
It is what it is.
Yeah. One of the weak arguments was that
they all wanted the celebrity.
Oh, of course.
See, again,
of course.
You have to look at the motivation that people have for various things. Usually it's either money, celebrity, or power.
Absolutely.
And all three go together usually.
All three go together in some form or another.
That's correct. So now, everything that I've been reading about Bill Cosby says that the Supreme Court, they never say he's innocent. They just say that the Pennsylvania Supreme Court simply overturned.
No. They vacated the conviction.
Will you please explain to my audience the difference between an overturn, which is what every single media outlet says, versus vacated?
Okay, very, very good. Okay, I'm going to pick nits and make a semantical argument. As they say, we as lawyers, we don't build a widget or perform a service beyond the manipulation of language. And that is all this explanation is. Very briefly for your audience, we've all heard the expression, someone is innocent until proven guilty. And which is technically a misquote. The actual correct phrase is, you are innocent until proven otherwise. And you are always proven otherwise. You are proven either guilty or not guilty. No one, and you hear it all the time, man, I went to trial and I was found innocent. No, brother, you were never found innocent. You were found not guilty. You are presumed innocent, and you remain innocent, and you are innocent until you are proven otherwise, and the court proves you guilty or not guilty. And everyone says, well, man, they're the same thing. And I know to lay people, they sound like they're the same. And here's where I'm going to split the hair, pick the knit, and get everybody upset. All right, very briefly, O.J. Simpson, was tried for murder.
Correct.
He was found not guilty, which only means that the prosecution could not prove his guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. Correct. He was never proven innocent. He was never found innocent. He was presumed innocent until what? Proven otherwise. And he was proven not guilty. That doesn't mean he didn't do it. It means the prosecution didn't do their job. Correct. So if you have a conviction that gets reversed, then you go back and you get tried again. Here, the conviction was vacated, which means it never occurred. This isn't a guilty verdict being reversed to not guilty, because Bill Cosby has not been found not guilty. He was found guilty, but now that has been vacated. So they take it away, which means now you're at your pre-conviction status. And everybody pre-conviction is innocent. And you remain innocent until proven otherwise. And one last quick analogy. In 1964, an Olympic East German female athlete, it was a shot putter, looked like a man. She was disqualified because her post-competition chromosome count wasn't in the acceptable range to be a woman by Olympic rules. Now, her team could adamantly, swear that we can prove she's not a man. That's not the issue. It's not that you can prove that she's not a man. She has to be proven to be a woman.
Okay.
And the fact is that she couldn't fall within that acceptable range, meant she was disqualified. Not that it meant she was a man, just that by the chromosome count, by Olympic rules, she couldn't prove that she was a woman. Okay. It's the exact same thing here. OJ and Dr. Cosby, in the court of public opinion, fine, these people may have committed some of these horrific acts, but the fact is that if not proven guilty, then you are innocent until proven otherwise. And if you're proven not guilty, okay, fine. The jury found me not guilty. I walk out free. The consequence may be the same, but right. You are proven either guilty or not guilty. No one is proven innocent.
Okay, gotcha.
And like I said, it's hair splitting, but that's what we do as lawyers.
But you're innocent.
You are innocent. And so Bill Cosby is innocent. He would never have to report us on a sex offender registry. No one can say, freed rapist Bill Cosby. No, he was never convicted of a damn thing. And I can't make it any plainer, but people go, that's you're twisting words. Yes, that's what we lawyers do.
Just like when we release people now who were wrongfully convicted.
There you go.
Yeah, they're innocent.
Right. Right. Once you vacate that verdict, now you're innocent.
They are innocent.
You are innocent.
And they spent that time in jail and everything as an innocent person, not as a guilty person.
If you remand a case, if the upper court says, okay, error occurred,
right,
and we're going to remand the case to be tried again, then you are tried again. At the end of that trial, you're either guilty or not guilty.
Correct.
But once that verdict is vacated by the Supremes, you go back to your pre-trial status, and everyone's pre-trial status is innocent until proven otherwise.
It's interesting, and I agree with you. It sounds like you're splitting hairs, but you really aren't, because it is the way this country operates. You are innocent in America until proven guilty. So, and I always make a distinction as a lawyer when I'm talking to people, because everybody has an opinion about every case now, because everything is in social media. And I said there is a difference between moral guilt and legal guilt. I mean, I'm not, God deals with moral guilt. The issue is whether or not the prosecutor has enough to have this person found guilty by a jury of their peers. And it's so interesting when you mention OJ. I remember the day that OJ was indicted. I was actually at a place called Lolita's getting my nails done, and it came across TV.
Right.
And I said, sitting there with her, with my hand in her bowl, I said, sitting there, they don't have enough. I knew they didn't have enough to sustain a conviction. They didn't have enough. You've got to have enough evidence to not waste months and months and hours and time. And of course, Johnny Cochran and his team tore it apart.
Right.
But wait a minute. What you may not know, because Johnny Cochran was a personal friend of mine, probably a friend of yours as well. Do you know that Judge Izzo ruled against? Now, you are a judge, so you know what this means. Ruled against motions, 180 motions that Johnny Cochran brought for the defense. And he still won the case. Johnny still won the case, including a motion that indicated that Furman, the cop who allegedly was listening to his cop radio, and he heard that there were police on the way to Nicole's house. Yeah. And so he heard that on his radio. So he went there. As it turned out, a prosecuting attorney in the prosecutor's office actually had sworn out an affidavit that said that Furman had been talking to her about Nicole's breast job. So now clearly that means he knew her, something was up. Plus, he knew exactly what a house was. He knew he did
Right,
everything.
right.
Yeah. I mean, he knew Nicole, and this was one of the motions, including the affidavit that Johnny wanted to introduce in the trial. The affidavit from a prosecutor, and question Furman about his statements concerning Nicole, question about why he was in the neighborhood, how did he know so much about all that kind of stuff. And the judge said he couldn't. So 180 defense motions.
Wow.
So even despite that, apparently the jury got it right.
There you go.
That's the point.
There you go. In other words,
so
every...
even though in a court of public opinion, we had these little gold angels and stuff.
Oh, right. I
you
forgot
remember
about
that stuff.
Oh, I forgot. Linda.
For a person that was a confirmed cocaine heavy-duty user, I actually had met her before.
She was a California party girl.
I met her. She was at the Daisy. She worked there as a cocktail waitress.
That's right.
She waited on me. I knew, and I met her again when she came here for the Super Bowl when it was out at.
Oh, that's right.
Out at
the Silverdome.
At the Silverdome.
49ers.
She was here again because OJ came. They were both.
That's
there.
right. There you go.
So I'm just telling you. I mean, it's amazing. How suddenly a person with a very questionable background, experience, tremendous drug use, allegedly. Can suddenly become a golden angel when we're talking, because it's all about spin.
Yes.
All about spin,
yes.
Media spin, and that's what happened here with Bill Cosby.
Very true.
He's a black man.
Okay, now you took now that the emperor really has no clothes. No, exactly right. No, how they want to portray him. Remember, they even had to talk about how Time Magazine deliberately modified his mugshot, so they put it on the cover. They darkened it. They did this.
They did that with OJ.
Yeah,
he was darker than me and you.
Right, I tell you, they did the whole thing of that. Exactly right. The spin is everything. Is everything. So, how they want to play it. Yes.
So let me tell you what's happening with Bill today. Of course, Gloria Allred, who was her daughter, was here. Of course, representing a lady against our late and great Congressman John Conyers, but now Gloria's in California, and now she's representing. I want you to. You're a lawyer, so listen carefully. To a woman who, in 1974, who a quote was in her teens, which probably means she was 19, went to the Playboy Mansion, Hugh Hefner's house, with Bill Cosby, and they engaged in a sex act against her will. 1974. I can't tell you.
I was a freshman in Michigan, and we partied when Richard Nixon resigned. That's what I can tell you. The most important thing about 1974 was Richard Nixon resigns, and I'm in college. Okay, now you're trying to tell me there's some woman who and if I was in college, so this woman she's 65, folks, and she's saying that 47 years ago that while at the Playboy, now you
correct. Her name is Ruth Huff.
And you have to imagine and there were other allegations about things at the Playboy Mansion. It was a treat. Not every cute girl from Southern California got to go to the Playboy Mansion. Or be a bunny. It was a treat. It was a reward that came with many perks. And you're trying to tell me that now you always know. I mean,
global perks.
When you're young ladies, you always know, and I tell this to fellows as well. When you're in school, that buff athlete, there's always some kid in school who is a grown man at 17, 18 years old. He's the star on the football team. There's always some young girl who is a grown woman and saying, my God. Okay, so this is the girl that gets to go to the Playboy Mansion. All of her, oh, girl, you got to go. How come I don't get to go?
Wait, but see, it's couched so cleverly. A teen, they don't say she's not an adult. You're an adult at 18,
correct.
19.
Well, actually, in Michigan, if you're a day past your 17th birthday, you can be tried as an adult. You are an adult. A day past your 17th birthday.
But they don't. But now we both know that nobody was at Hugh Hefner's house that was under 18 because he was smarter than that. I mean, everybody was smarter than that. But in any event, and that he proceeded to sexually molest her by attempting to put his hand down her pants and then taking her hand in his hand, performing a sex act on himself without her consent. Pardon me? Anyway, this is the lawsuit that Gloria Allred, and now...
How does it survive? How does this lawsuit survive a statute of limitations?
Oh, because in California, they have a ridiculous statute of limitations on civil cases, and I have it here.
So then why hadn't these other women?
This is not a criminal case, but the point, what Gloria Albert is trying to do, obviously, it's all about the Benjamins, baby. It's about the money, and so she's suing civilly, and what she's trying to do is force Bill Cosby to be a deposition. You know,
right, to be deposed. Sure,
to be deposed, and so. And so his lawyers are saying under no circumstances is he going to put himself back in a position he was in Pennsylvania, and he will be pleading the fifth on every question if he's forced to appear.
Right. See, what gets me is if that were true, then these other women who were allegedly assaulted during the Cosby Show tapings, which are taped in California. How is it that they aren't using that same statute of limitations to bring a civil action? Because one thing is, you and I know as lawyers, in a civil action, you have to at least show damages. The mere fact that you were upset or pissed off is one thing, but how do you objectify?
And that you didn't see him again.
Oh yes, I didn't see him. Yeah, that's right.
He didn't call you back.
But you know this teen. Okay, let's say she's 19. Wherever she goes back to her college, her school, her friends, and whatever, she goes, I spent the day with Bill Cosby.
I was at Hugh Hefner's mansion.
Hugh Hefner's mansion. I was at, because this is before cell phone selfies.
Right.
But as I always tell the story, a couple weeks ago, I participated in that little 5K at the RWF, the Ronda Walker Foundation, and I got to see. It was good. I tried to get out, and I saw former Miss USA Castech 1987 Carol Gist. Okay, she's still in Detroit. She was Miss USA back in 1990.
So she was in the run.
Right, she was here. And I'll tell you, she is still an absolutely gorgeous woman. And I ran up to her, I said, Miss Gist, you'll never remember me. I said, but 100 years ago, I said, we were on the dais at one of those rubber chicken dinners that we all have to attend, and we got to sit next to each other on the dais. And of course, that's in the day when instead of cell phones, there was a photographer that had to be around. Okay, so all these people were coming up, getting their picture with Carol Gist. Can I get a picture, please? I could, and I'm telling all my friends the next day at the court, they go, Judge, you were no more sitting next to Miss USA than I was. I go, yes, I was. Okay, this woman did the same thing. She couldn't wait to get back. I was at the Hefner mansion. I got to see Bill Cosby. I got to see Hugh Hefner.
And the bunnies. And all the other celebrities that were there.
And this one bunny said, if I get an application in when I turn 21, I could get a job there too. And about she was probably as geeked as a kid on Christmas morning.
Of course she would have been.
And now, as time passes, and of course, at 65, she says, this way I can subsidize my retirement. Let me see if I can make a couple dollars out of this.
But beyond that, the lawyers just this past week, at a front page article in the Free Press, were just sanctioned around the country, quite frankly. And our good friend Linda Parker here wrote 110 page opinion, yes, blasting them for bringing these frivolous claims and charges that are unresearched, etc.
And you know what she also did? She then sanctioned them that they have to pay the fees for the city of Detroit to defend this frivolous lawsuit. So either they or their client, Donald Trump, have to pay these fees. You and I know what the municipal attorney fees are going to be in a federal case. I said they're in the high six figures in the blind and likely in the seven. I'm with you 100 on that.
Even though they'll argue about it, they'll break it down some. But
some.
Yeah, but that's it.
Linda Parker, bravo. There was no wiggle room.
So, but that goes back to the lawyers who bring these cases based on things that happened in 1974 that are fundamentally unprovable because there was nobody present but me and thee. And what I say happened doesn't mean that is cause for you to issue a complaint against a person, for something that happened in 1974 when you first went to college at the University of Michigan.
Exactly right. Exactly right. I had an afro.
Beyond that, who even thinks like that? How do you put that in your mind? I'm as a woman, heck, you move on. You let things go on. There are justices and injustices in life. There are things that happen. We've been in traffic court. We've been in all kinds of courts and been wrongfully accused or wrongfully treated. But you get over it. You keep it moving. And you certainly don't put yourself in a position to sit in a room and talk for hours and hours and hours about something that happened half a century ago.
And it was so damn bad. Why is it we just now hearing about it 47 years after the fact?
Right. It's not Auschwitz.
This
is right. Yeah. It's you and a guy.
Right.
that obviously you were attracted to.
Clearly.
Right. Because there's no rape here. There's none of that kind of stuff. I mean, there's no visible.
There's no physical evidence whatsoever.
Right.
And it's the he said, she said. And of course, over the years, there's an old saying. Lee Trevino used to say. He said, "The older I get, the better I was." It's amazing how much better I was in my memory than ever I was in my present day.
That's
true. The older I get, the better I was. Same with this story. Okay, whether or not he patted her on the behind, whether or not he actually put his hand down her pants is a splitting of hairs. But I'm sure the story has been embellished, or else the lawyer doesn't bring it. This woman could have said, this could have been the third lawyer she sat down with, and the lawyer said, "It's got to get a little juicier than that before I can bring it." He put his hand down my pants. Now it's getting better.
Gloria got what she wanted because she got a headline.
Exactly.
Gloria Aller slams Cosby lawyers for trying to overturn California look back. She's representing this Ruth lady. I believe that's her last. RU.
And the look back law obviously allows someone to reach back beyond the statute of limitations to bring something forward.
Right.
Okay, so if that is the loophole through which they're trying to bring the case, so be it. But I agree with you. The lawyer is getting the headline to hopefully to get another case.
But Bill Cosby's lawyers are trying to say that having the law declared unconstitutional, which I think it is.
Yeah.
I really do.
Because it's incredibly
prejudicial.
I
think that.
Right. Well, it's more prejudicial than probative because otherwise,
this is awful. Okay, 1974.
Well, the incentive then would be to wait it out so that any exculpatory evidence is gone. So now it's just
witnesses.
And
Hugh's dead. Everybody's dead.
I saw this man on television, and they go, "What is it you do for a living?" He said, "Well, sir, I'm retired." Well, what did you do? He said, "For 30 years, I was a butler at the Playboy Mansion." Okay. And they say, "You must have some stories to tell." He goes, "Not a one."
That's because he has dignity.
Well, and of course, part of your employment was you had to sign. He
kept his word.
Exactly. Right. He says because people probably go, "What about this one?" He just.
No. But you know what I always say? You don't take the benefits of a relationship and then not accept the responsibilities. See, I don't understand that. I don't understand how I can be your girl, be your boy, you be my boy, Adia, and and everything, and then for some reason either I die or and then you try to exploit that. But all your life you had the benefits of that relationship. And how do you do it? I mean, I guess it's just all about money now.
Yes, it
principles, is. My father taught me, and I'm sure yours taught you as well. Daddy would say all the time, my principles are not negotiable. And they're not.
They shouldn't
I'm not going to lie.
They shouldn't
be. I'm not going to do that. I'm just not. I don't care how much money is involved. I'm not bribable.
Right.
I'm not.
Right.
And it just is what it is. I'm my father's child.
Go.
And his integrity and honor, were above reproach.
But you nailed it right. The attorney obviously is getting the headline because notice how it's her name that's in the headline, not the victim.
Never,
not the victim.
Never.
The victim's name didn't appear in there at all.
Nope. Because the victim's name wouldn't even get it. And then they tried to make it like that Bill Cosby's wife had filed for divorce, which is not true.
Right, not true.
And all of this, it's just very, very sad. But now he's going to have to go. His lawyers are going to California. So he has to deal with this.
Sure he does.
It's just more drama. And that is again, and I know you agree with me because you said you have a daughter.
Yes.
You are as against sexual assault of any kind.
Of course, like I said, and she works in a male-dominated industry.
Oh, totally.
She works in the sports industry, in football, and in college football. I mean, come on, these are kids. Okay, right. They're grown men.
You got a lot of testosterone.
Hormones are exploding all over the playing field, from the weight room to the locker room to the.
They don't even understand it themselves.
They don't understand it themselves. What's the expression? The crack of dawn looks good to them. Okay, and it's like that. And I'm gonna tell you, my daughter's a cute girl. Okay,
of course she is.
Well, more importantly, she's my wife's daughter.
And you're fine. And your wife is beautiful.
Yeah, you got that right. I did my best begging, to get this one. I did, but and so she had one incident, not with an athlete, because she is cool. That she makes it very clear, and the coaches, I gotta admit, and again, hats off to most of the NCAA, and of course my daughter's now working there with Mel Tucker up at Michigan State, and bravo to Coach Tucker. They real clear. I mean, you come in the front door and go, okay, there's a do and don't, and here's the first don't. Okay.
Do not touch. Do not text.
That's
sexually. None of this.
No,
I mean,
no pictures.
yeah.
No.
I mean, everybody's doing. I mean, I know adult males have sent me stuff like that, so I know exactly what you're saying.
No, and that is, and I say bravo. But they are kids. But still, and I agree.
They are adults though too, and they all also have the right to make choices. But the point of the matter is that if you feel that you've been violated, she should call you, and then you guys can deal with it with the police. And
I drove up to Ann Arbor one evening. I drove up to Ann Arbor. That's right. I mean, my daughter was working in a cafeteria, in one of the dormitories, and one of the guys, the help. To talk to her, you have conversation. Come on, you're working over dirty dishes and so forth. And so he wanted to go out. She said no. Okay, fine. That should be the end of it.
Correct.
Okay, and of course he wouldn't let it go. And it got to the point where then it got he was getting a little too forward with it. And so she did the right thing. I said you have to tell somebody, because if someone in a supervisory capacity does not know, then you haven't made the claim.
Correct.
I said go ahead, girlfriend, do this. So she goes and does that and blah blah. And
for sexual harassment.
Right. And then of course, so then now it got back to him. So now he got mad. So he wanted to come check her. I said, I'm on my way up there in Arbor. I said, hang on, you don't have to worry. Daddy's on his way.
Police for this.
Daddy's on his way.
My father would come in a heartbeat.
There you go.
Absolutely. Speaking, and we got like one more minute.
Fine.
Cuomo, as you know, they just took his Emmy away from him because of the AG's report, and and one of the articles about Cosby, because they took a lot of his awards and everything back too, was that why give me an award if you're gonna take it back? Just keep it. And if you can take it back, then it's not an award. If I can win an Academy Award or something, or I can win an Emmy for
now unless the award was fraudulent. When Milli Vanilli, it turns out it
that's
wasn't.
Different.
That's exactly that's the distinction.
But you don't do that. I mean, what is wrong? I mean, America is just changing in a way I don't even recognize. I mean, he won the Emmy. It's his Emmy. We're gonna strike his name from the Emmy record, and we need the Emmy back, and the this and the that, like they did, like they have Bill Cosby. But in any event. The most distinguished doctor, Wade Mccree Jr., and your Juris Doctorate allows you to be called doctor, as you know, and former judge. Thank you so much for joining us today.
It's my pleasure, and let's not be strangers. It's been too long since I've seen you, and I want to see you again before this much time passes.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And I'd like to thank our listening audience for tuning in today to Chop It Up with Linda Bernard, and our television audience.